Good evening, Bible Hour. And welcome. To day 23 of reading the Bible together. Come on in, roll on up. Good evening, Sam Whittington. First day of level 3 lockdown today in New Zealand. It's just like level 4, but with takeaways. Nice. Petit Bois, good evening. Good evening, Chris Williams and Cara, no doubt. Good evening, Chris Henry. Good morning, North Star. Good evening, Phil Townend. "12 people here already. Average people 50 to 60 watch these within the day. 60 people reading the Bible for an hour a day is a good thing. Deuteronomy Chapter 4. Cara wants to know about my mugs. The mugs have got like a little cult following in and of themselves. A big part of tuning into Bible Hour is to see which mug will Owen use today. Hi all. North Star, can you not see me? Because I have had the camera on for the last 22 days. Have you just been rolling on audio? He stalking about Neil. He wants to visit me. Neil does. Neil wants to visit me. Neil lives around the corner from me. Deuteronomy Chapter 4. Oh, Jonty wants to visit me. Bring him down, man. It's not far. It's just down the road, isn't it? Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Sam. So, Roberts, I had a rat in my garden this morning, hopefully obeying the social distancing rules. We have 1 minute left before we jump in to Deuteronomy Chapter 4. Oh, hello, Diane. I didn't see you there. Kerry is eating cheese. Samantha Whittington, dead or alive? Who, Neil? Is the admin here, says Neil. Chris Henry, ceremonially unclean rat. Definitely. Weapons as claws and as the front of the teeth. And we're going to be reading more about that. Okay, North Star. The rest of us, welcome to the Bible Hour. It is 1 minute to 9. It is day 23. We ask, what do we learn about Jesus and what do we learn about church? We want to get fired up for both. We are in the Old Testament. We are in the last book of the books of Moses, and he has preached one sermon, and we're about to get on to another one as he fires up the church to take the promised land, heaven on earth. My light is still broken, but don't worry. All will be different tomorrow. Now, before we read about several chapters about laws and things of Jesus is the light of the world. Hey, don't need this light. Before we read more about what heavenly life looks like over the next few chapters and laws and things like that, remember that when the Lord gives a law, it's good. Good. There's good reasons behind it. This is St. Augustine. He says this: When you're swimming in a tiny above ground pool at your cousin's house and keep bumping against the walls, you start wishing they weren't there. But when, in your rambunctiousness, you succeed in knocking them down, you realize the pool didn't get bigger. It just disappeared. You're left in soggy ruins. I was a storm tossed, Augustine confessed in retrospect, gushing out, running each and every way, frothing into thin air in my filthy affairs. Freedom to be myself starts to feel like losing myself, dissolving my own identity, slipping between my fingers. What's emerging here isn't just an admission of failure, rather, it's the problem of getting exactly what you want. Here, the ancient church had boundaries. They didn't gush out and end up in a soggy pool. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Deuteronomy Chapter 4. Moses. Hey. Welcome, Park End Church admin. It's a new admin today, his first time, so go easy on him, everybody. We are in Deuteronomy Chapter 4. Moses urges Israel to obey. Verse 1. And now, Israel, listen carefully to these decrees and regulations that I am about to teach you. Obey them so that you may live, so you may enter and occupy the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, is giving you. Do not add to or subtract from these commands I am giving you. Just obey the commands of the Lord your God that I am giving you. You saw for yourself what the Lord did to you at Baal Peor. There the Lord your God destroyed everyone who would worship Baal, the god of Peor. But all of you who are faithful to the Lord your God are still alive today, every one of you. Look, I now teach you these decrees and regulations just as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may obey them in the land that you are about to enter and occupy. Obey them completely, and you will display your wisdom and intelligence among the surrounding nations. So clean living, good witness to the world. Boundaries, good witness to the world. When the world is saying have no boundaries, and that's true freedom. When they hear all these decrees, they will exclaim, how wise and prudent are the people of this great nation. For what great nation has a God as near to them as the Lord our God is near to us whenever we call on him? And what great nation has decrees and regulations as righteous and fair as this body of instructions that I am giving you today? But watch out, be careful never to forget what you yourself have seen. Do not let these memories escape from your mind as long as you live, and be sure to pass them on to your children and grandchildren. Never forget the day when you stood before the Lord your God at Mount Sinai, where he told me, "Summon the people before me, and I will personally instruct them. Then they will learn to fear me as long as they live, and they will teach their children to fear me also." You came near and stood at the foot of the mountain while flames from the mountain shot into the sky. The mountain was shrouded in black clouds and deep darkness. And the Lord spoke to you from the heart of the fire. You heard the sound of his words, but didn't see his form. There was only a voice. That, of course, is the different Lord to the one that they had been seeing face to face. One God, three persons, Father, Son, and Spirit. He proclaimed his covenant, the 10 commandments which he commanded you to keep, and which he wrote on 2 stone tablets. It was at that time that the Lord commanded me to teach you his decrees and regulations so you would obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy. Verse 15. But be very careful. You did not see the Lord's form on the day he spoke to you from the heart of the fire at Mount Sinai. So do not corrupt yourselves by making an idol in any form, whether of a man or a woman, an animal on the ground, a bird in the sky, a small animal that scurries on the ground like in Sue Roberts's garden, or a fish in the deepest sea. And when you look up into the sky and see the sun, moon, and stars, all the forces of heaven, don't be seduced into worshipping them. The Lord your God gave them to all the peoples of the earth. We don't make idols of the Father because the icon of the Father is the Son. Where I love pictures of the sun and images of the sun, but you can't make images of false gods. The Bible's dead against that. The Lord your God gave them to all the peoples of the earth. Remember that the Lord rescued you from the iron smelting furnace of Egypt in order to make you his very own people and his special possession, which is what you are today. Funny, I watched a sermon on Sunday on YouTube from some dude who'd be dead against images of Jesus and icons and stuff like that. But as he preached, he had literally the size of that, a picture of a preacher he likes up in his office wall. Unbelievable. That is an icon. But the Lord was angry with me because of you. He vowed that I would not cross the Jordan River into the good land the Lord your God is giving you as your special possession. You will cross the Jordan to occupy the land, but I will not. Instead, I will die here on the east side of the river. So be careful not to break the covenant the Lord your God has made with you. Do not make idols of any shape or form, for the Lord your God has forbidden this. The Lord your God is a devouring fire. He is a jealous God. In the future, when you have children and grandchildren and have lived in the land a long time, do not corrupt yourselves by making idols of any kind. This is evil in the sight of the Lord your God and will arouse anger. Same for us, isn't it? No idols in church life, apart from one. Today, I call on heaven and earth as witness against you. If you break my covenant, you will quickly disappear from the land you are crossing the Jordan to occupy. You will live there only a short time. Then you will be utterly destroyed. For the Lord will scatter you among the nations, where only a few of you will survive. There, in a foreign land, you will worship idols made from wood and stone, gods that neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But from there you will search again for the Lord your God. And if you search for him with all of your heart and soul, you will find him. Yeah. How many times does Jesus say that? In the distant future, when you are suffering all these things, you will finally return to the Lord your God and listen to what he tells you. For the Lord your God is a merciful God. He will not abandon you or destroy you or forget the solemn covenant he made with your ancestors. There is only one God. Verse 32. Now, search all of history from the time God created the people on earth until now, and search from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything as great as this ever been seen or heard before? Has any nation ever heard the voice of God speaking from fire as you did and survived? Has any other God dared to take a nation for himself out of another nation by means of trials, miraculous signs, wonders, war, a strong hand, a powerful arm, and terrifying acts? Yet this is what the Lord your God did for you in Egypt, right before your eyes. Notice this is the generation that wasn't there, but he's still saying it was you there. I did it for you. I love it when scriptures, like in Psalm 98, 85, it speaks to a future generation about past generations. It just says you were all in it together. Isn't church just all in it together? And we need to come out of Egypt. We need to be freed from slavery. We need to avoid idols. Verse 35, he showed you these things so you would know that the Lord is God and there is no other. He let you hear his voice from heaven so he could instruct you. He let you see his great fire here on earth so he could speak to you from it. Because he loved your ancestors, he chose to bless their descendants, and he personally brought you out of Egypt with a great display of power. He drove out nations far greater than you so he could bring you in and give you their land as a special possession as it is today. So remember this and keep it firmly in your mind. The Lord is God both in heaven and on earth, and there is no other. If you obey all the decrees and commands I am giving you today, and will be well with you, all will be well with you and your children. I am giving you these instructions so you will enjoy a long life in the land the Lord your God is giving you for all time. God's laws lead to joy. We often say at Park End, people in 2020 are on a happiness quest and end up unhappy. But those who go on a truth quest end up happy. Because truth is truth, and everything else outside of that is a lie. So not worth pursuing. Eastern cities of refuge. Then Moses set apart 3 cities of refuge east of the Jordan River. Anyone who killed another person unintentionally without previous hostility could flee there to live in safety. These were the cities: Bezah on the wilderness plateau of the tribe of Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead for the tribe of Gad, Golan in Bashan for the tribe of Manasseh. Introduction to Moses' second address or sermon. This is the body of instruction that Moses presented to the Israelites. These are the laws, decrees, and regulations that Moses gave to the people of Israel when they left Egypt, and as they camped in the valley near Beth Peor, east of the Jordan River. This land was formerly occupied by the Amorites under King Sihon, who ruled from Heshbon. But Moses and the Israelites destroyed him and his people when they came up from Egypt. Israel took possession of his land and that of King Og of Bashan, the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan. So Israel conquered the entire area from Aroer at the edge of the Arnon Gorge all the way to Mount Sirion, also called Mount Hermon. And they conquered the eastern bank of the Jordan River as far south as the Dead Sea, below the slopes of Pisgah. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 5. 10 commandments for the covenant community. Moses called all the people of Israel together and said, "Listen carefully, Israel. Hear the decrees and regulations I am giving you today, so you may learn them and obey them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us at Mount Sinai. The Lord did not make this covenant with our ancestors, but with all of us who are alive today. At the mountain, the Lord spoke to you face to face from the heart of the fire." So now there's another Lord who was in the fire, but you could see him face to face. But then there's that other Lord on the top of the fire that no man has ever seen. "No man cometh unto the Father but through me. If you see me, you see him," says Jesus a few years later. Verse 4, "At the mountain the Lord spoke to you face to face from the heart of the fire. I stood as an intermediary between you and the Lord, for you were afraid of the fire and did not want to approach the mountain. He spoke to me, and I passed his words on to you." This is what he said. Yeah, by the way, verse 5 isn't Moses interjecting. That's still the Lord saying it. I am the intermediary between the Lord and the people. That's what the Lord Jesus himself says to explain his work as the one who brings the Father and people together. Some commentators break off there and think Moses sort of interrupts the Lord speaking and says, "No, this bit was me, now back to the Lord. I stood as an intermediary between you and the Lord." And this is what he said. "I am the Lord your God who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other God but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I am the Lord your God. I am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the third and fourth generations who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands. You must not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name." And we looked probably a week ago now, on the Hebrew for blaspheme, which means to pierce, like hatefully pierce, but to render insignificant, meaningless. See, blasphemy isn't just the word. It's that the Lord is nothing to people. That's blasphemy, whatever word that takes. I know people that become Christians and struggle for years to stop taking the Lord's name in vain because of habit. And I'm like, that's not really blasphemy to me. We want to work on that, and you want to drop that out of your vocabulary. But I know now that the Lord is meaningful to you. So that I don't think that's blasphemy. Do you get what I mean? I think that's behind the word blaspheme in this Old Testament. Verse 12. Observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, as the Lord your God has commanded you. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your oxen and donkeys and other livestock, and any foreigners living among you. All your male and female servants must rest as you do. Remember that you were once slaves in Egypt, but the Lord your God brought you out with his strong hand and powerful arm. This is why the Lord your God has commanded you to rest on the Sabbath day. Honor your father and mother as the Lord your God commanded you. Then you will live a long, full life in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely against your neighbor. You must not covet your neighbor's wife. You must not covet your neighbor's house or land, male or female servant, ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. The Lord spoke these words to all of you assembled there at the foot of the mountain. He spoke with a loud voice from the heart of the fire, surrounded by clouds and deep darkness. This was all he said at the time, and he wrote his words on 2 stone tablets and gave them to me. Now, when we are in Exodus 19, the whole point of the redemption from Egypt was the Son of God was leading the church army to meet his Father in Sinai, because the Son always leads church to meet his Father and teaches them about his Father. Now we're about to see what went wrong. If you remember, they came to the mountain but drew back. Now we're going to see what the problem is behind that, because after that, this whole law came, the wilderness thing started happening, the idolatry with the calf. Verse 23 is the behind the scenes. I read somewhere that if you made a vow to God and didn't keep it, that was blasphemy. Yeah, I suppose you could sort of say that. You could argue that. But when you heard the voice from the heart of the darkness, while the mountain was blazing with fire, all your tribal leaders and elders came to me. They said, "Look, the Lord our God has shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice from the heart of the fire. Today we have seen that God can speak to us humans, and yet we live." Isn't that amazing? Verse 24. Great, stop there, end the chapter. No, verse 25. But now, why should we risk death again? If the Lord our God speaks to us again, we will certainly die and be consumed by this awesome fire. The disappointment the son must have had, that they absolutely thought that if they go near God, he's going to just destroy them. So they go from saying, yay, we can trust him, to, oh no, better not, just in case. That's the problem. Deuteronomy 5, 24, 25 is key to the Old Testament church. Can any living thing hear the voice of the living God from the heart of the fire as we did, and yet survive? Go yourself and listen to what the Lord our God says, then come and tell us everything he tells you, and we will listen and obey and go back to our tents and do idolatry. The Lord heard the request you made to me, and he said, I have heard what the people said to you, and they are right. Oh, that they would always have hearts like this, and they might fear me and obey all of my commands. If they did, they and their descendants would prosper forever. Go and tell them, return to your tents. But you stand here with me, so I can give you all my commands, decrees, and regulations. You must teach them to the people, so they can obey them in the land I am giving them as their possession. So Moses told the people, You must be careful to obey all the commands of the Lord your God, following his instructions in every detail. Stay on the path that the Lord your God has commanded you to follow. Then you will live long and prosperous lives in the land you are about to enter and occupy. So the father's like, right, fine then. If you're going to be like that, if you don't trust me, even though you're coming in the son's name, you still think I'm going to kill you, right, fine, you're good to go back. I'll follow this stuff instead. So we have this period of law for 500 years, which ended with Christ coming, which is why Romans says we now go back to the faith of Abraham. He's the father of the faithful in Romans 4, it says. We have faith like him because we're not coming through these law and Jewish practices. And all that law did was to teach the church what Jesus and his Father are about in the power of the Spirit. That's pretty much the whole Bible, folks. Okay. Deuteronomy Chapter 6. A call for wholehearted commitment. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy. And you and your children and grandchildren must fear the Lord your God as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Park End admin. Yeah, it's funny that they've rendered it like that. They've tried their best to make it not be controversial. But Deuteronomy 6 verse 4, can you just stick it there in just the King James Version? Probably the NIV has it as, will have it as this. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord our God is one. We just got to pause here because if you meet a Jehovah's Witness or a Muslim, they love this verse because they say, "Yeah, there's no Trinity. It's just one Father." Well, he's not even a father, just Allah. So Deuteronomy 6:4. The rest of us will eat some cheese or some crisps or something while we put the new admin to the test. It's coming. It's coming. I can feel it. He's going to nail it first time. Bang, it's going to come. It's going to be in the King James Version. Chapter 6, verse 4 is coming now. Here it comes. Boosh. It's worth the wait. It'll be worth the wait. It will be worth the wait because it'll help you interact with people. Yes, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Right. The word there. Obviously, if anybody reads the Old Testament up to the point we have, they will not be convinced of Unitarianism because Trinitarian has been all over the place, even in this book. But that aside, so the Lord is obviously not a single person. He is not a mathematical singularity. The Lord God is a union or unity of one. Father, Son, Spirit are one God, one Lord. Now, if you want to get fancy, The Hebrew word echad is used in Genesis 2:24 to describe the unity that Adam and Eve have together. They are one. It also describes a single bunch of grapes in Numbers 13:23. So the Lord is not three gods, he's one. And he's not one person, he's three. And that separates me and the faith of Christianity from every other religion on planet Earth. And we all can't be right. Someone's got to be wrong. Verse 5. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to the commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are on the road, when you are going to bed and when you are getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. We're plastering pictures all over Park End Church of children's Bible stuff. Deuteronomy 6. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Gillian literally posted it on our church door the other day. Jesus is risen or alive. The Lord your God will soon bring you into the land he swore to give you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods that you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns that you did not dig, and you will eat from the vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget the Lord who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear the Lord your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must use only his name. You must not worship any of the gods or neighboring nations, for the Lord your God who lives among you is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. Petit bois, I guess verse 13, if you're making an oath only in his name and you break the oath, it's as if you're reducing his name to nothing. I guess, blasphemy. Park End admin, you passed the first test with flying colors. I'm running on 12 cylinders. Verse 14, you must not worship any of the gods of neighboring nations, for the Lord your God who lives among you is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test the Lord your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of the Lord your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that the Lord swore to give your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies living in the land, just as the Lord said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that the Lord our God has commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt with his strong hand. The Lord did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt and Pharaoh and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he had sworn to give our ancestors. And the Lord our God commanded us to obey all these decrees, to fear him, so he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives as he has done to this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands the Lord our God has given us. We are at the halfway point we are learning that laws of God are a heart thing because he's redeemed us from slavery. But take 30 seconds there. Go and get an apple or something. And I will make a note, because one of those verses spoke to me then about something in my life that I will talk to my wife about later. Deuteronomy 6. Okay, Deuteronomy Chapter 7. The privilege of holiness. Wow, that's a good subheading. When the Lord your God brings you into the land you are about to enter and occupy, he will clear away many nations ahead of you. The Hittites, Girgashites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. These 7 nations are greater and more numerous than you. When the Lord your God hands these nations over to you and you conquer them, you must completely destroy them. Make no treaties with them and show them no mercy. You must not intermarry with them. Do not let your daughters and sons marry their sons and daughters, for they will lead your children away from me to worship other gods. Then the anger of the Lord will burn against you, and he will quickly destroy you. This is what you must do. You must break down their pagan altars and shatter their sacred pillars. Cut down the Asherah poles and burn their idols. For you are a holy people who belong to the Lord your God, all of the people on earth, the Lord of all the people on earth. The Lord your God has chosen you to be his own special treasure. Isn't that interesting? We're all God's children on planet Earth, but it seems to be the church is his special possession that he redeems from death and judgment. The Lord did not set his heart on you and choose you because you were more numerous than the other nations, for you were the smallest of the nations. Rather, it was simply that the Lord loves you, and he was keeping the oath that he had sworn to your ancestors. That is why the Lord rescued you with such a strong hand from your slavery and from the oppressive hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Understand, therefore, that the Lord your God is indeed God. He is the faithful God who keeps his covenant for 1,000 generations and lavishes his unfailing love on those who love him and obey his commands. But he does not hesitate to punish and destroy those who reject him. Therefore, you must obey all these commands, decrees, and regulations that I am giving you today. The thing about marriages is, don't marry outside of church. That's crazy. What have you got in common? That would just kill you off. What are you going to do? End up worshiping their gods? It's really, I think, sad that church preaches so much almost that marriage is the highest form of life, and that you're lacking somewhat if you're not married and you need a man in your life and all this stuff. In the Bible, so often you see single celibate people are the highlight and pinnacle of human existence, like Jesus. And I think churches are to blame sometimes for pushing marriage or dating into the life of the church, which can then often cause people to go and marry the wrong people and end up completely making a shipwreck of their whole life. I feel bad. Jesus gives us full life, not marriage. Marriage has its benefits. Verse 10, but he does not, Verse 12, if you listen to these regulations and faithfully obey them, the Lord your God will keep his covenant of unfailing love with you as he promised with an oath to your ancestors. He will love you and bless you, and he will give you many children. He will give fertility to your land and to your animals. When you arrive in the land he swore to give your ancestors, you have a large harvest of grain, new wine and olive oil, and great herds of cattle, sheep, and goats. You will be blessed above all the nations of the earth. None of your men or women will be childless, and all your livestock will bear young. And the Lord will protect you from all sickness. He will not let you suffer from the terrible diseases you knew in Egypt, but he will inflict them on all your enemies. You must destroy all the nations the Lord your God hands over to you. Show them no mercy and do not worship their gods, or they will trap you. Perhaps you will think to yourselves, how can we ever conquer these nations that are so much more powerful than we are? But don't be afraid of them. Just remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all in the land of Egypt. Remember the great terrors the Lord your God sent against them. You saw it with your own eyes, and remember the miraculous signs and wonders and the strong hand and powerful arm with which he brought you out of Egypt. The Lord your God will use this same power against all the people you fear. And then the Lord your God will send terror to drive out the few survivors still hiding from you. It's not sappy Jesus, like, hey, he's my boyfriend type stuff that some modern songs sort of portray him, is it? It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. No, do not be afraid of those nations, for the Lord your God is among you, and he is a great and awesome God. The Lord your God will drive those nations out ahead of you, little by little. You will not clear them all away at once. Otherwise, the wild animals would multiply too quickly for you. Yep, I guess so. But the Lord your God will hand them over to you. No, I can't stand those I'm in love with Jesus songs, Sue Roberts. That's because, Sue Roberts, you are an English literature scholar and enjoy weighty poetry with weighty themes. The Jesus is my boyfriend stuff can't fault a good weighty hymn and a good modern weighty song. And even a little ditty of a song sometimes, because there is repetition in the worship in Revelation. Holy, holy, holy. What I got a problem with is the gushy, boyfriend, sappy, childish stuff. You should do a quiz one day and read lyrics from gushy, sappy Christianity songs versus like E17 singing about their girlfriend and play which one is the hymn or not. Or just don't. Verse 24, he will put their kings in your power, and you will erase their names from the face of the earth. No one will be able to stand against you, and you will destroy them all. You must burn their idols in the fire, and you must not covet the silver or gold that covers them. You must not take it, or it will become a trap to you, for it is detestable to the Lord your God. Do not bring any detestable objects into your home, for then you will be destroyed just like them. You must utterly detest such things, for they are set apart for destruction. We are now in the third of tonight's study, Deuteronomy chapter 8. We are storming through Deuteronomy. Verse 1. Be careful to obey all the commands I am giving you today. Then you will live and multiply, and you will enter and occupy the land the Lord swore to give to your ancestors. Remember how the Lord your God led you through the wilderness for these 40 years, humbling you and testing you to prove your character and to find out whether or not you would obey his commands. Yes, he humbled you by letting you go hungry and then feeding you with manna, a food previously unknown to you and your ancestors. He did it to teach you that people do not live by bread alone. Rather, we live by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Classic Sermon on the Mount stuff there. For all these 40 years, your clothes didn't wear out and your feet didn't blister or swell. Think about it, just as a parent disciplines a child, same root word though. The Lord your God disciplines you for your own good. Now that is in the New Testament as well, as you know. If you have a hard time, Christian, so often it's not because the Lord hates you, it's because he loves you as a father loves his child, and he's bringing something to you or out of you which will be absolutely for your best. That's what we just read in Deuteronomy chapter 8. The Lord took them to the wilderness so that they could learn we do not depend on bread alone, but by every word from the mouth of God. For your own good, verse 5. So obey the commands of the Lord your God by walking in his ways and fearing him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land of flowing streams and pools of water with fountains and springs that gush out in the valleys and hills. It is a land of wheat and barley, of grapevines, fig trees and pomegranates, of olive oil and honey. It is a land where food is plentiful and nothing is lacking. It is a land where iron is as common as stone and copper is abundant in the hills. When you have eaten your fill, be sure to praise the Lord your God for the good that he has given you. Church members, tomorrow when we've eaten our fill, and we do in the West, be sure to praise the Lord your God for the good the land is. At last service on Sunday, we had a bit from India, Mumbai, and places like that. Man, we need to pray for them and be thankful for what we've got. But this is the time to be careful. Beware that in your plenty you do not forget the Lord your God and disobey his commands, regulation, and decrees that I am giving you today. For when you have become full and prosperous and have built fine homes to live in, and when your flocks and herds have become very large and your silver and gold have been multiplied along with everything else, be careful. Do not become proud at that time and forget the Lord your God, who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. On a personal note, I love how Park End, which is in quite a well-to-do area, does good works, children works, family works, food bank works, homeless works. Like quite a few of the wealthy people in our church are just dedicated to helping other people. I love that. That's Deuteronomy 8. Do not become proud at that time and forget the Lord your God, who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. Do not forget that he had led you through great and terrifying wilderness with its poisonous snakes and scorpions, where it was so hot and dry. He gave you water from the rock, John T's favorite. He fed you with manna in the wilderness, a food unknown to your ancestors. He did this to humble you and test you for your own good. He did all this so you would never say to yourself, I have achieved this wealth with my own strength and energy. Remember the Lord your God. He is the one who gives you power to be successful. in order to fulfill the covenant he confirmed to your ancestors with an oath. But I assure you of this, if you ever forget the Lord your God and follow other gods, worshipping and bowing down to them, you will certainly be destroyed. Just as the Lord has destroyed other nations in your path, you also will be destroyed if you refuse to obey the Lord your God. Kara's watching and she doesn't type, so she can't stop me saying this. But funny, when I first moved here, there's loads of kindness towards me and my family from Park End, and there still is. Kara rocked up with a cake, having just spent the night sleeping next to homeless people in Newport or something. And she was just on the way back home for a shower and to go to bed. Legend. She'd obviously been reading Deuteronomy 8 non-stop that day. Deuteronomy Chapter 9. Okay. Victory by God's grace. Listen, O Israel. Today you are about to cross the Jordan River to take the land belonging to the nations much greater and more powerful than you. They live in cities with walls that reach to the sky. The people are strong and tall, descendants of the famous Anakite giants. You've heard this saying, who can stand up to the Anakites? But recognize today that the Lord your God is the one who will cross over ahead of you like a devouring fire to destroy them. There's nothing better than Deuteronomy. Maybe Exodus. And parts of Leviticus and Genesis and Numbers. He will subdue them so that you will quickly conquer them and drive them out, just as the Lord had promised. After the Lord your God has done this for you, don't say in your hearts, the Lord has given us this land because we are such good people. No, it is because of the wickedness of the other nations that he is pushing them out of your way. It is not because you are so good or have such integrity that you are about to occupy their land. The Lord your God will drive these nations out ahead of you only because of their wickedness, and to fulfill the oath he swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You must recognize that the Lord your God is not giving you this good land because you are good. For you are not. You are a stubborn people. Isn't it? What are you learning about church? We're not good. We're stubborn people. There's two types of people in the world. There's bad people, and then there's Jesus, who does kind things for bad people. Although that means only bad people go to heaven. Remembering the gold calf. Remember and never forget how angry you made the Lord your God out in the wilderness. From the day you left Egypt until now, you have been constantly rebelling against him. Even at Mount Sinai, you made the Lord so angry he was ready to destroy you. This happened when I was on the mountain receiving the tablets of stone inscribed with the words of the covenant that the Lord had made you. I was there for 40 days and 40 nights, and all that time I ate no food and drank no water. The Lord gave me the two tablets on which God had written with his own finger all the words he had spoken to you from the heart of the fire when you were assembled at the mountain. At the end of 40 days and nights, the Lord handed me the two stone tablets inscribed with the words of the covenant. Then the Lord said to me, "Get up, go down immediately, for the people you brought out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. How quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted gold and made an idol for themselves." The Lord also said to me, I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. Leave me alone so I may destroy them and erase their name from under heaven. Then I will make a mighty nation of your descendants, a nation larger and more powerful than they are. So, while the mountain was blazing with fire, I turned and came down, holding in my hands 2 stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. There below me, I could see you had sinned against the Lord your God. You had melted gold and made a calf idol for yourselves. How quickly you had turned away from the path the Lord commanded you to follow. So I took the stone tablets and threw them to the ground, smashing them before your eyes. Then, as before, I threw myself down before the Lord for 40 days and nights. I ate no bread, drank no water because of the great sin you had committed by doing what the Lord hated, provoking him to anger. I feared that the furious anger of the Lord, which turned him against you, would drive him to destroy you. But again, he listened to me. The Lord was so angry with Aaron that he wanted to destroy him too. But I prayed for Aaron, and the Lord spared him. I took your sin, the calf you had made, and melted it down in the fire and ground it into the fine dust. Then I threw the dust into the stream that flows down to the mountain. If you're new to the Bible Hour, jump back to the Exodus chapters to see that event. You also made the Lord angry at Taberah, Massa, and Kibroth Hattaavah, and at Kadesh Barnea, and the Lord sent you out with this command: go up and take over the land I have given you. But you rebelled against the command of your Lord and refused to put your trust in him or obey him. Yes, you have been rebelling against the Lord as long as I have known you. That is why I threw myself down before the Lord for 40 days and nights, for the Lord said he would destroy you. I prayed to the Lord and said, oh, sovereign Lord, do not destroy them. They are your own people. They are your special possession, whom you, redeemed from Egypt by your mighty power and your strong hand. Please overlook the stubbornness and the awful sin of these people, and remember instead your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. If you destroy these people, the Egyptians will say the Israelites died because the Lord wasn't able to bring them to the land he had promised to give them. Or they might say he destroyed them because he hated them. He deliberately took them into the wilderness to slaughter them. But they are your people and your special possession, whom you brought out of Egypt by your great strength and powerful arm. Well, we have 3 minutes left. I don't think we'll start Deuteronomy 10. No, it's a long 17 verses, so we'll stop. There is 3 minutes if anyone wants to say or share or ask anything. I do think prayer meetings, though, do we take seriously in our church prayer meetings that we are not particularly good? We are stubborn people. Confession of sin important in the prayer life of church. Anyway, there are 2 minutes left, my friends, as we stopped on Deuteronomy chapter 10. Thank you to the Park End admin who came out tonight. Great job. Glory, says one man there. As I have said many times and even shown on the pictures, a lot of these comments that people find helpful come from the little orange books I hold up, the book by book. So thank you to Paul Blackham for his amazing commentaries on the Old Testament. The thing that spoke to me about the most tonight is when you eat your fill, do not forget to thank the Lord your God. And in the West, we eat our fill every day. So let's do what Deuteronomy has pressed us to do. Be thankful, look after the poor, give to others. All glory to God. Peter Davey, prayer meetings are the powerhouse of the church. One minute left. Exciting stuff about the Bible Hour. The Presbyterian Church of Wales sent an email out today and put a link to this, encouraging people to jump in. So the whole presbytery, if they want, is to come and see us, read the Bible with us. Paul Blackham, the cure for anxiety is gratitude. Always give thanks, for this is the will of the Lord. Pastor Owen, what's the will? What does God want from me? Give thanks. Thanks, Owen. God dight all. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.